as some viewers might have, is how long tonight is it likely to be conditions like this?
And just as you say that, we saw behind the scenes a new tornado watch out is going out for pretty much everybody. The same counties have been under a tornado watch already until 4 a.m.
Till 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Well, because we're going to continue to see these severe thunderstorms, at least on and off at the very least throughout the course of the night. But the thankful thing, this is not a new PDS watch. They're backing down. They think our window of opportunity for strong, violent tornadoes is on the downswing, which is at least a step in the right direction, and that is good. But we still need to be on guard. And that's why I brought my phone over here, because you brought it up earlier now. If you somehow lose power during the night, but if you still have cell access, or if you have your phone charged up, we've been talking about it for quite some time, and even Doug and I throughout the course of the day on Facebook and Twitter, our KOAM app, again, it's free, and as long as you have it updated, you can use this to track the storms should you lose power, and not to mention, you'll get free severe warnings from us, and there's the promo right there. Right. Free interactive radar, tracking the lightning, tracking all the warnings, and getting updates straight from me and Doug should heaven forbid you lose power. It is free for your iPhone or iPad through the Apple App Store, or for the Android users, just go to Google Play and it is free.
On a night like this, it becomes apparent just how important that is, but really it's important to have all the time, because as we well know from this, living in this area in the spring, storms can appear just like that. And even on a day that might appear to be nice to begin with, if you have that phone.
On a day that we don't want, on one day that we don't want any tornado.
We've been all saying on a day of all days, it has to be this.
I remember interviewing, for one story, Joplin Emergency Manager Keith Stammer, and as you guys know, May is a tough month. As I've lived here, I've gotten to know that May is a tough month, it seems, and in particular, when you look at the numbers, when you look at the stats, they hover around May 22nd. Too, so
just May in general around here is just our prime month.
Well, May today, of course, is the 8th anniversary of the devastating tornado in Joplin, but May 4th is a day that a lot of people
May 4th, when Doug was standing either at that wall over there, or when we had the old set, probably it was over there, talking with Chat, tracking 3 supercells with tornadoes on the ground there. We had May 8th with Jeff Cornish and Doug Hetty tracking the tornado that went through Pitcher.
Right. Took some lives in Pitcher and
that was May 8th. And not to mention today, which is unfortunately
May 10th.
Yeah, May 10th, 2008. Sorry about that. And just a quick house checking here, just to please the FCC. You are watching KOAM, and I believe we're still on the Fox 14 and 4 ACW. This is kind of a special edition of KOAM News at 10, where unfortunately the top story tonight is weather. Meteorologist Nick Kelly, along with Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty behind the scenes, and joining us still, Jordan, Aubey, and Dowe. Quick, Doug, do we need to go back over to you?
We'll pull Max 1, just pull it full screen here, and I want to show you what's going on. We still have a tornado on the ground. This is now into McDonald County, or right on the county line of Missouri, or the state line, Missouri, and also Oklahoma. It looks like it's trying to weaken a little bit, but this is right on the northwest side, or north side of Southwest City. I've been kind of watching this as you guys have been talking for the past 2 or 3 minutes, and I've watched it kind of jaunt east just a bit. The circulation has weakened just a hair, but it's trying to stay on there. But the latest reports, we still have a tornado warning, which is now just north of Southwest City. What I'm watching with this is I guarantee it's going to try to regenerate back in the eastern parts of Delaware County. So it's kind of 2 areas, tornado here, north of Southwest City, like 3 or 4 miles, and then I guarantee one's going to start to regenerate in western parts of
They're saying Delaware. Large and dangerous tornado near Southwest City.
Yeah, so we still got that. That would be, I'll zoom right in. So this is right on Highway 43, and then it drops in, and then it kind of meets where 90 Highway is. So this is probably about 1 mile or 2 north of the intersection of Highway 90 and Highway 43. So if you live in Knoll, you want to go ahead and take shelter. And then of course Knoll, it's very hilly down there. Lanigan, Anderson, Pineville, you will all be kind of in the target of this as it continues to roll in. So I still think this, even though we do have a large tornado on the ground, I do think it's going to recycle and kind of weaken just a bit. We'll take another tour up towards Stockton Lake. Still, this is the same storm that has produced the tornado really from Ottawa County through Cherokee County, and then Jasper, and then Barton, and then up into Cedar and St. Clair. So this guy has been going since about 6:15. So I mean, he's been rolling for about 4 hours and still producing tornadoes. All these guys, southeastern Kansas, these are strong storms, but these are going to become flood makers. So that is another huge concern. We have rising creek streams, which are continuing to go up, and this is going to continue through tonight. We also have this cluster of storms which have been producing tornadoes, Washington, Nowata County. These have been radar indicated as of late, but they are also pushing into northeastern Oklahoma. So we got to really watch these, and I think we have a prime tornado threat still for about 2 more hours, and then we're going to switch to hail and wind, and of course flash flooding, just because we can't hold any more rain. So to recap, we still have a possible tornado about 4 miles northeast of Southwest City. If you live in Knoll, Lanigan, up toward Anderson, Pineville, go ahead and take shelter. I definitely think here in central Delaware County it is starting to regenerate. So we'll go over to Dowe and Jordan for a few until we got to give you a quick update. All
right, I imagine some people have just been joining us, maybe expecting to see the 10 o'clock news on KOAM, and that's been preempted of sorts by this special coverage. Nick and Doug have been covering a series of tornadoes that have moved through the 4 states throughout this evening, starting fairly early on, about I think during the 6 o'clock news or shortly after, and then continuing through the evening. A number of tornadoes, some touchdowns, notably in Jasper County, Missouri. The extent of the damage is something that we're still trying to assess. We do know that there is some damage out there, and that would include in the Carl Junction area, in the Briarbrook area, and also possibly in the Oronogo area. Let's go ahead and show some of the video that we have. Roll what you want, control room, and we'll talk about it. Okay, this is some video that was taken from a vantage point in Carl Junction. Nick was telling us earlier that this could well be a tornado, although that's far from certain. And we do have some other video that
actually, and I'm curious, with that video we're still seeing there, Jordan, does that look like it's kind of the some of the subdivisions north of CJ High School?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I got a closer look, and as it zooms out, no, that's not my backyard, but I think it is in the subdivision where I live.
So that would be looking south.
Yeah. And as the camera zooms out again, you can see, as Dowe was talking about earlier, how saturated the ground is.
Let's show some more video from Carl Junction. Okay, this is the damage, really the most substantial damage video that we have received so far, and this is of 2 homes in the Briarbrook area. I believe this was, oh, there we go. There's a good still.
There it is.
Obviously substantial damage to that home and to another one. And I'm being told that we're getting some new Briarbrook video. This is just coming into us. Okay.
Garage doors out.
Yeah, trees down.
That's Briarbrook?
Yeah, Briarbrook.
That's Briarbrook. I don't know if we have any structural damage in this video. Let's let this continue to play for a moment.
Well, they're watching where they're going.
We're going to see lots of trees down. We've heard of a number of them down on Fur Road. Also, we saw a downed power line there. We suspect that there are probably a number of down power lines.
This is a good lesson, too, to watch where you're walking, too.
Or to further emphasize what we were saying earlier, too, if you don't have to be outside tonight, don't, because it's dark outside now. I mean, unless you have to go to a shelter, or if you know like a friend or neighbor nearby that has a safe place to go for the rest of the night, I mean, go ahead and do that. But it's just now nighttime where, with more rain coming, we may have more water covering the roads again, not to mention power lines down, tree lines down. First responders trying to get to these places to survey for damage and hopefully not find any injuries or, heaven forbid, again, any fatalities. Just let the first responders do their jobs. Let's help them out by keeping the roads as clear as possible for them so they can do their jobs tonight.
And those down power lines could very well be live, so you need to stay away from them. Look at that. We see trees are especially vulnerable after a heavy saturation of rain. We've seen in the recent days, because the ground becomes so soft that the wind obviously gets the leverage and it's going to uproot trees.
Yeah, and to your point, Dowe, you hit the nail on the head exactly. With so much rain, it doesn't even take that much wind to knock down these trees.
Exactly, yeah.
But considering what the CG says, Southwest 20th and Star, I'm remembering back from the few hours ago when that tornado warning storm was crossing southern Cherokee County, I think that may have been either the spot or pretty close to where that tornado crossed.
Around Southwest Star.
Yeah.
We're getting some more video. Okay, this is also out of Briarbrook. Again, we're seeing this as you're seeing it for the first time. The producer's telling me to look for the power flashes as the lights go out. So let's just take a look at this. This clearly is.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something. This again in Briarbrook area of Carl Junction. We have some reports of damage, not only there but elsewhere. But at this point, we do not have any reports of injuries.
That is a good thing.
That is the critical thing that people are wondering about, I know.
Yeah, and if
we do not know of any injuries.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, Dowe and Jordan, I think we need to go back over to Doug at the wall. Doug.
All right, so we still have our tornado warning. This is in McDonald County. This has weakened a little bit. It was a large, dangerous tornado as it worked just north of Southwest City. And then about 3-4 miles north of Southwest City, the storm decided to recycle. It is still producing a very strong rotation, but I'm going to bank that it's not on the ground right now, or at least if it is on the ground, it is for a short amount of times. But we're looking at Anderson. Here's Pineville. So we'll go from Pineville back to about Lanigan. So right in here, that is where our rotation is. Still trying to produce a tornado. It has weakened a little bit. The cell's also been trying to kind of recycle back in eastern parts of Delaware County. So it's really eastern Delaware, so Southwest City, because there's about 2 areas of rotation. So let's go Southwest City all the way over to Pineville. If you live in that area, you definitely want to go ahead and take shelter, as this storm has at least had the history of producing a large tornado. But McDonald County, that's where you need to be in your shelter, especially from Southwest City over to Pineville, Anderson. There's about 2 or 3 spots that a tornado can drop at any time. And this storm has had the history of producing a very large destructive tornado when it was just a little bit farther west into Delaware County. So we're watching that storm, McDonald County. We'll take a quick tour. We're going to go back toward the north here, and I'll zoom back in actually. We still have the same cluster of storms that produce, I guess we can call it kind of somewhat the Briarbrook tornado, or at least that's where we're getting a lot of the video, but it's still rotating here south of Stockton Lake, still producing tornado warnings. So that same storm has been producing tornado warnings since about 6:15 this evening, which is just crazy. So we're 4.5 hours or so that it has been producing tornadic activity. Strong storms, southeastern Kansas, not severe, but these are dropping some heavy amounts of rain. We're going to go back into northeastern Oklahoma. We have this cluster, which is continuing to work in. This is Bartlesville, Nowata, and then stretching just north of Tulsa. These are going to work into Ottawa County. Now, because this area that it is working into has already had storms, these may kind of lose their tornado structure and be more flood kind of related, just because it's working into an atmosphere that's kind of overworked. We've already had the storms. This is not. This continues to work into an air mass across McDonald County that has not had storms, so the air mass is still very ripe to produce tornadoes. So we're going to take another close look at this again from Pineville, and you see all these little notches here. This whole storm is trying to regenerate, it's trying to recycle, kind of do a 360 turn and start from the beginning. So from Pineville all the way back to Southwest City, all these little areas of rotation can and possibly could be dropping a tornado right now. So you need to go ahead and take shelter, let's say from Pineville west in McDonald County. I'm going to get a few more updates on the McDonald County tornado warning. We're going to go back to Dowe, Jordan, and Nick at the desk.
All right, thank you, Douglas.
Well, I was going to say we continue to get photos sent to us largely by viewers on social media. This is from State Line Road and from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, and right away I can tell you, I read that to Doug when that tornado warning was on there. That was crossing over, if not near, that very intersection. So that very well was, I will go ahead and say, tornado downing that tree there.
The good news is, out of Cherokee County specifically, is that what damage reports we do have do not appear to be widespread. I think, Jordan, you talked with the sheriff earlier, and he said that there was one structure that had lost its roof at least.
We're not sure if it lost its roof, but there was some sort of roof damage to one business near Baxter Springs. That was, goodness, how long ago have we? That was about an hour ago, I think, a little bit more than an hour ago.
I believe a bit more.
Yeah, and over here, I'm just keeping an eye on monitoring the weather chat and trying to help you all out too, just to see if I can find any other damage reports that I can safely report. Now, when I go through the Weather Service chat, they do list other reports, but sometimes they say not for immediate release, and that's just to be sure that they want to verify that what they're reporting can actually be verified or actually happened. So thankfully, like all the damage we touched on so far, that's pretty much all we have for the time being.
From what we're getting, the worst of the damage may be in Jasper County around Carl Junction and Oronogo. As Jordan said, we did have a report of maybe some limited damage in Cherokee County. Also, I talked with the Ottawa County Sheriff's Department around 8 o'clock this evening, and at that point they had some limited structural damage in the northern part of the county and also some power lines down there, but again, not widespread that they could determine at that point, and no reports of injuries at that point.
That's a good thing.
Yes, indeed it is. We hope that that is the way it turns out to be tomorrow morning when
I know.
the sun comes up.
I'm just thankful, I mean, I'm going to be thankful if we can somehow get through this without any injuries or fatalities, considering how intense these storms are.
Well, certainly you and Doug have been doing your part to ensure that, and of course it's your responsibility to do what you can as well, and that is to take heed when they say to take shelter, do exactly as they tell you to do.
Just, again, I do thank you, because earlier today when there was a tornado warning for us, Doug Hetty and Nick Kelly you both were keeping a close eye on that rotation. It was close to our station, so you guys sent us to the storm shelter. But you and Doug, we're in here. We're in here, still on air. Because
until it's knocking on the door, Doug and I don't go anywhere. And thankfully, with our safe room, we can still be warning people in there, because thankfully we have it set up properly there. And to speak to your point, Jordan, I saw from our sports director, Jacob Leonard, as Doug was sifting through Facebook, I'm trying to find a way to load a picture that he took just outside our station, because I'm pretty sure he caught at least a lowering, or at least the southern part of that cell passing just north of us. So that was more the reason why Doug said earlier, if anybody was not essential to keeping us on the air, head to that safe room.
Right.
Yeah.
And as frequent...
All right, let's go to Doug, please.
All right, I want to give you an update on McDonald County. We don't have a tornado on the ground. We still have a warning. This storm has been trying to recycle. We have numerous areas of rotation, really from Pineville all the way back toward Lanigan, and then trying again just northwest of Southwest City. Again, we don't have anything on the ground right now, but this storm has a history of producing large destructive tornado. A little ways back, 20, 30 minutes ago. But again, anywhere in McDonald County, you need to go ahead and take shelter, just because this storm has the history of it. But I've been trying to keep up with spotters and also chasers out there. Again, it's very hard to get visual on any storms, especially when it's, in the middle of the night. You can't see. So to get confirmation that something is on the ground is very hard to do at night. You have to wait for either a power flash or lightning to actually see. But what I do like seeing on this radar structure is that at least we're not seeing a strong signature, even though it is trying to regenerate a little bit back toward Southwest City. So again, still need to go ahead, take shelter. McDonald County, tornado warning. Nothing on the ground right now, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be in your shelter. Basement, closet, interior bathroom, as this continues to roll through McDonald County. But again, it's trying to regenerate right along the state line. I would say just a mile or two northwest of Southwest City. So as of right now, that's what the latest we have on McDonald County. I'll throw it back to you, and I'll keep watching.
Nick, you were referring earlier to that photograph that was taken by Jacob Leonard, our sports director, just outside our TV station.
That's the very one. And again, that was more the reason why, if we had any non-essential staff if they weren't important keeping us on the air, get to that safe room on the north end there of our building. And I mean, throughout the years that Doug has been here, I've lost count of how many times he's seen tornadoes or ominous storms like that just buzz the station nearby, and this is just another one to add to the tally.
And just to be clear, all of our staff would assure you that they are essential, and they are indeed
yes,
essential.
Yes, they are.
We also want to keep them safe.
Jeff, when I say non-essential, that does not mean they are not important.
One thing that our assignment editor just sent to us is Jasper Police Department, so the city of Jasper, posted on Facebook that they have been requested for assistance near Golden City for a confirmed tornado with damage and injuries.
Yeah.
And we actually saw the warning for that tornado, if I'm not mistaken, maybe what was that, 45 minutes ago or so?
It could have been. I mean, I've lost track of what time it is now, 10:20.
Numerous tornadoes throughout southwest Missouri and a few others in southeast Kansas and possibly northwestern Oklahoma.
And I think for the most part, though, when we say numerous tornadoes in this case now, I think most of those numerous tornadoes just from one storm.
Yeah, to me, that's amazing. Is it amazing to you guys, too? I mean, one storm with so much energy.
I mean, like, yeah, I've been in the business for 10 years, but every time I see a storm just cycle like that and just keep going, I mean, it's just all the more reason to respect Mother Nature, for lack of a better expression. I mean, we
did get a heads up, actually, some days ago, and Doug was telling us to be aware of the potential on this day, as you were as well. And then the National Weather Service put out that particularly dangerous storm warning, which is a rare event that they put out around mid-afternoon.
Yeah, during the 3 o'clock hour, that PDS tornado watch, which again is reserved for tornado watches where not only could we have several tornadoes possible, but even some strong tornadoes too. So we had quite a bit of heads up before the storms got going today. Don't mean to interrupt you, Dowe or Jordan. I think we need to go back over to Doug. Doug, what do you have for us?
Yeah, we're going to continue to tour and watch the warnings that are rolling through. Still, tornado warning. This is McDonald County. We don't have anything on the ground right now because this whole storm has kind of been recycling. The original rotation is now way out here east of Pineville, but we are still getting a little bit of rotation from Pineville over to Lanigan. But I've been watching this kind of structure right back north of Southwest City, and we are getting some visual reports that it could be trying to get back on the ground. So this is 4 or 5 miles north of Southwest City. So this is kind of the target area again, where it was about 30 to 45 minutes ago. You can see the latest radar sweep that goes through, and I want to go ahead and actually we're going to pull out the velocity here, and I'll see if I see anything really big. But what we have been kind of watching is it trying to regenerate. See that little brighter green spot just to the north of Southwest City? So that's kind of trying where it's trying to get going again. Southwestern parts of McDonald County, Lanigan over toward Pineville, Anderson. Go ahead and stay in your shelter, just as this storm is still potentially a very dangerous one and enough to warrant a tornado warning, and can definitely be trying to drop another tornado warning on the ground. Also, again, I'm still going through Facebook when we were at the desk, and I'm getting just report after report that traffic is massively backed up from Airport Drive, down Fur Road, the Briarbrook area, because everybody wants to see the damage. And I guess the traffic is extremely bad right there where it's almost at a standstill. So again, if you don't have to be out, stay inside. As Dowe said earlier, we're going to put everything on here on Facebook, on our website. All these storms are just strong storms, but they are producing flash flooding, which has been another problem. Let's go into northeastern Oklahoma. We saw this cluster now through Nowata. Just to the northwest of Bonita. We'll eventually see how it's trying to kind of develop together here near Oswego. I think this is just going to become a line, and our tornado threat will start to go down, mainly a hail and wind threat. I think that's what we're mainly going to see out of this. However, still have our tornado warning. This is McDonald County. Again, last reports, still getting some movement in the clouds, but nothing on the ground. But you can definitely see where it's trying to regenerate now. About 5-6 miles to the west of Southwest City. In fact, we'll zoom in even a little bit tighter. You can see to the east of 43 Highway, probably about a mile or so. This is in western parts of McDonald County. So if we look at where this area of rotation is going to try to go near Lanigan, Anderson, I-49, this is the main region that we need to watch. Again, nothing on the ground, but can drop one at any time. So western, central parts of McDonald County. Let's go ahead, continue staying in your shelter. I'll definitely let you know if we get confirmation it goes on the ground. We're going to throw it back to the desk here for a few minutes, and then I'll give you another update.
Yeah, Jordan, you had a, oh, did you want to go?
You go first. It's
okay. I just monitoring the chat from the Springfield office. Just heard from Carl Junction Police Department from the dispatch. Briarbrook area in Carl Junction is closed to everyone besides emergency personnel. They have power lines and debris in the roadway, and they do have search and rescue in progress. So unless you have to be outside in Briarbrook, please stay inside. Let the first responders do their jobs, and just don't even bother trying to sightsee tonight, especially around Briarbrook. We need to let the first responders do their jobs.
Yeah.
And you have word from schools and
yes, Carl Junction School District, as of about 22 minutes ago, posted on their Facebook page that classes for tomorrow are canceled. Just briefly, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone impacted, is what they wrote, due to trees down, roads blocked, and many of our families dealing with the aftermath of these storms. We are canceling school for tomorrow. We will not make up this day, but we will make plans for after Memorial Day for everyone to get back together so that students may pick up items and say summer goodbyes. So, for you, those of you with kids in the Carl Junction School District, you make sure you follow the Carl Junction School District on Facebook, because they're going to be releasing plans soon of what's next.
And we'll tell you that we are trying to get Keith Stammer with Emergency Management on the phone. He has expressed an interest in talking to us, and of course we know that you want to know what he has to say, but it is difficult to maintain communications at the moment, and obviously law enforcement and emergency personnel are swamped with demands on their time. But we are going to get him as soon as we can, so stay with us, and when we get that, we hope that we'll be able to get you a better feel for the extent and severity of damage in Jasper County.
If I can elaborate,
sure,
on what Nick Kelly said. I remember, if you would allow me to get a little bit personal, I remember after the Joplin tornado.
Yeah, go ahead.
Myself and so many others needed medical attention. Those medical personnel with the debris in the roadways, power lines down, etc., they have a hard enough time trying to get to those people. If there are people who need medical attention, they're going to have a hard enough time to get to those people. And I can speak from my own personal experience as someone needing medical attention, that they, you know, another minute wasted is not good. So please stay out of the Briarbrook area.
Okay, I'm told that Doug, did you?
Why don't you give the update about McDonald County?
Yeah, thankfully that rotation has weakened enough. They are dropping the tornado warning for McDonald County. What they've gone and done instead, if we want to just pop up a max storm, if we could, full screen if we could, please. That tornado warning you see covering McDonald County, that's going to drop in 2 minutes. They're going with the severe thunderstorm warning. They're still going to keep an eye on the rotation, but thank heavens, the tornado, or at least the rotation, has weakened enough that for the time being, in about 2 minutes, we will not have a tornado warning for McDonald County. That is just a severe storm with 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Didn't mean to interrupt, Alan. Jordan?
No. We will continue to interrupt. Whenever there is imminent danger from a tornado, that's going to be our top priority. People should know that. Okay, we have Keith Stammer now, I believe, on the phone. He's with Emergency Management in the Joplin and Jasper County area. Keith, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Excellent. What can you tell us about the damage that you're seeing in Jasper County?
Well, right now we are working the damage mainly in the Carl Junction area. We have units up there that have been going door to door. It looks like roof damage, trees down, power down, that type of thing. We are currently unaware of any injuries or deaths to that area, which is a wonderful thing to hear, of course. And the Carl Junction Police Department has said that Carl Junction is currently closed down to all but emergency services vehicles, mainly due to the number of trees and power lines that they have on the road.
Can you give us an idea of the extent of the damage in Carl Junction? Is it isolated to single streets, or is it more than that?
Right now, the main report we had was more or less the Briarbrook area. You'll recall there's the Briarbrook Country Club in that area with several houses surrounding it. And my understanding from the reports of first responders is that's the place that they are concentrating on.
We did see a little bit of video earlier of a couple of the homes, and maybe a couple of photos where we saw Well, actually, right now we're looking at some video of the tornado, but we saw some damage video to some roofs. The worst of the homes, how bad does the damage appear to be? Is there anything close to a flattened home, for example?
I don't think that anybody has reported anything close to what we saw 8 years ago tonight. We're not dealing with flattened homes, smoothed off the foundation. This is more typical of, and you guys are probably more experienced on this, and I'm sure Doug can speak to this, but EF0, EF1 kind of damage where it's going to tear the shingles off, damage the roofs, maybe even blow trees over on top of it. But I don't really have any reports at this point of any houses collapsed.
Okay, but to be clear, the structures that you have seen damaged are residential structures, is that correct?
That is correct.
No businesses or anything of that sort?
Not that I have heard of. Carl Junction does have a downtown business district, but I have not heard of any damage in that area, which doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Certainly. We did see what appeared to be a snapped power line. I believe it was in the Furrow Road area, Briarbrook, Carl Junction.
Yes.
Are the power outages widespread?
Honestly, they seem to be somewhat spotty. We've had some people up there and report in the areas that they've had some success with getting the power lines back up, but in other places it seems to be that they aren't. I haven't quite got a good grasp on how widespread that is.
What about communications in general? Are cell towers intact? Are cell phones still working?
Yes, that's an excellent question. And you remember what it was like some years ago. Actually, communications have been very good all the way around. The police and fire and ambulance have been able to talk to each other on their own radios from car to car. Cell tower, we've been communicating back and forth by texting with the people. I will get comments in here from people that said, hey, listen, I haven't been able to find so-and-so, and could you check on them? We passed a few of those addresses along. All of them have been thankfully successful. So right now, communications have been pretty good. I've been pleased.
Keith, we want to keep the communications between you, your department, law officers, and the public as smooth as possible. Can you tell us under what circumstances people should or should not be contacting law enforcement right now?
Well, right now, obviously, if you think that your life is in danger in any way, you're injured or you are trapped or whatever, you need to call 911, and we will start moving people your direction. If it's a matter of the electricity's out and you need to move to family or friends' houses, we prefer that you wait until after the sun comes up and we can come out and do an assessment of the situation.
And if people have questions about a loved one, something of that sort, what should they do, or should they just hold tight for the moment and wait for word to come to them?
That's a really good question. Again, it's a little difficult to say. My first thought would be, simply put, go ahead and call the local dispatch center and put that question to them, and so that they can find the right units. I mean, we've got a mixture of Joplin and Webb City and Carl Junction and several other different response agencies out there, and trying to figure out which one is in the right spot is sometimes difficult. So if they would just call the local dispatch center and give them that information, they'll in turn get on the radio and find out who they need to talk to.
Keith, this is Jordan. I know we've been talking about... Hey, good to talk to you again. I know we've been talking about Briarbrook primarily. Are there any damages elsewhere? Elsewhere in Jasper?
Not that I'm aware of. That doesn't prove that's not the case. We thought we had quite a bit of Orinoco, but then the officials there called us off and said, no, that's not quite so much. But we understand that there seems to be some damage up in the Golden City direction. And so there are units moving up there.
You're giving us, for the most part, encouraging news.
Yes.
What I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you do not have any reports of injuries at this point. What structural damage you're seeing does not appear to be the sort that's been leveling any structures, and what you've seen is residential and primarily in the Briarbrook area.
That is correct, and you obviously are experienced and have called out the number one criteria we use for measurement, and that is how many injuries and how many deaths. And I have heard of none of those at this point. Again, that doesn't mean there aren't, but we've done some pretty extensive checking, and we don't have any reports. So I guess we can deal with roofs and trees and power lines and insurance policies and that type of thing as long as all of our people are safe.
Keith, have you been hearing, I know you've got sources and all that, have you been hearing about injuries in the Golden City area?
No, I've been watching that, and last I heard they were still sending people up into that area. I have not seen anything come over my communication systems yet for Golden City.
Okay.
And again, your jurisdiction is primarily the Jasper County area, but you would be hearing it in some contact with neighboring counties and communities. We've been trying to caution people, more than caution people, we've been trying to tell people that they need to not be out sightseeing. I know that that is always a problem when we have disasters like this. Can you help us stress the importance and why people need to just stay at home, let us bring the information to them instead of getting out and trying to see for themselves?
Thank you. Folks, this is dangerous. I don't know what else to say. It is dark. There are electrical lines down. Just because it's on the ground doesn't mean that it's still not energized. There are all kinds of nails and other debris that are in the roads that are going to blow out people's tires. Most of the people don't know their way around, like Carl Junction and some of these communities, so they see a tree down and they turn left, they turn right, they turn left, they turn right, and they find themselves out somewhere in the boondocks. And may I remind everybody that, as your good weather people are pointing out left and right as I've been watching you, there's a lot of rain that's going to go to the north of it, and around here all that rain comes from north to south. And so we are running some areas where we have flood watches out, we have flood warnings out. They're going to find themselves in low water crossings, unfamiliar territory, and then we're going to have to start diverting resources.
Keith,
let's give it a little bit of time, please. Sorry to be so passionate about it, but
no, absolutely.
And just to elaborate what you said, it is so easy, Keith. I know, just piggybacking on what you just said, I know from experience, my wife knows from experience how easy it is for people who have been through this type of emergency to get that tunnel vision. I mean, you're stressed out, you're in shock, you got so many things going through your mind, you just don't think about looking where you're walking, etc. So, just piggybacking on what you just said, just if you're not living in Briarbrook, stay out of the Briarbrook area. If you are in Briarbrook, just be mindful. Just be mindful of that.
Yes, exactly.
And not only put people out sightseeing, put themselves in danger, but as you say, they're going to be diverting important resources away, perhaps, from where they need to be. Also be putting other people in danger as they try to come to the rescue. Keith, I'm going to just try to sort of summarize what you've been telling us, and that is that the damage, the worst of the damage from what you are seeing appears to be in the Briarbrook area. It appears to be in residential areas. We do not have any reports of injuries at this point, which is not to say that there aren't any, it's just that we have not found any.
Right.
Oronogo, although Oronogo appeared to be under the gun early on because there was a warning and people were told to take immediate shelter. There appeared to be a large tornado heading in that way.
And apparently correctly so, yes.
Yes, so it was the correct warning, but to our knowledge, there does not appear to be widespread or substantial damage in Oronogo. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay, and then also there are some power outages, as one would expect in conditions like this, but those are sporadic and widely scattered and not in great numbers, it appears.
Yes.
Okay, people need to stay away from the damaged areas. Keith, what have we missed? What more do you want to tell us?
Oh my, I think you've done a good job of covering everything. I remember 8 years ago on that Sunday evening, people were calling me saying, how bad is it? And all I could really say is wait till the sun comes up and we'll know more. And I think that's pretty much the same mantra for this evening on this Wednesday night is let's just wait till the sun comes up tomorrow and the storms will clear and we'll know a little bit better about what's going on.
I know it's going to be a long night before the sun comes up for you and other emergency workers. We appreciate your taking a bit of your precious time to talk with us and communicate with the public out there. I'm sure we'll be talking with you in the days ahead. Stay safe.
That'll be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Keith.
An amazing man, Keith Stammer.
They have their hands full, and they will for a while, and the best that we can do from here is to relay information to you from them and make it possible that you can just stay home, get your information from your TV or from your smart device.
Yeah, let's check back in with Doug while we can, please.
All right, I just want to, you can pull up Max 1 full screen. I'll show you. Max 1, please. There you go. I'll show you what's going on. Most of our severe warnings have pretty much dropped off, which is great. We are still seeing showers, thunderstorms, southeastern parts of Kansas, west central parts of Missouri. I'm going to change up the radar here just a little bit so we can kind of get a better glance. But you can see heavy amounts of rain, parts of Cherokee County, Crawford County, western parts of Barton. Another pretty strong cell in Vernon County, and these stretch back in southeastern Kansas. These are mainly just good old storms, producing a lot of heavy amounts of rain. Of course, an issue that we haven't talked a ton about tonight is the tremendous flooding. Most of the creeks, rivers, streams were predicted to crest late today and also into tomorrow. But now with the additional rainfall, we can push that crest back. We still have some tornado warnings north of Springfield. And the only reason I'm showing you this is the same cell that produced the tornadoes all the way from Golden City back to Jasper. From what I've heard in Oronogo, it was a big funnel. And then, of course, the tornado on the ground from near Airport Drive back through Carl Junction, and then kind of bouncing on the ground, southeastern Kansas, Riverton, Galena, and then back into Ottawa County. We have been tracking this storm that's still producing tornado warnings since about, well, before it moved into the area. But
yeah, like it was Tulsa, wasn't it?
Yeah, it developed at about 4:30, so we're on 6+ hours that this guy's been producing constant tornado warnings. We had a tornado warning in McDonald County. This storm quickly weakened. It's still a strong storm, but it's not even strong enough to have a severe thunderstorm warning on it right now, so that is the great news. But I know we did have a confirmed large tornado as it rolled across Delaware County, and then we had confirmed reports of it on the ground north of Southwest City and then over toward Lanigan, and then it decided to pretty much die. We got these guys who've been carrying tornado warnings for several hours, southern parts of Nowata County into western parts of Craig County. This cell is, this cluster of cells will continue to work into Ottawa County, Delaware County, and I think it's going to just kind of form into a big complex as it rolls in. We still have a tornado threat. It is going down. We're going to switch over to more hail, wind, and of course flash flooding, but you can see how the storms just continue to regenerate. I'll back up the radar here about, let's see, an hour. You can see how they are continuing to pop up in northeastern Oklahoma. So we aren't done with severe weather. We got many hours to go of severe weather, but at least right now we don't have not one single warning in our immediate television market area, but we got more rolling in.
So for Southwest Missouri, for Southeast Kansas, the severe threat is going to be there for a while.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to switch more to a hail and a wind threat. It doesn't mean the tornado threat's gone. It just means the tornado threat is dropping a little bit. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. But from this point on, we're looking at hail, wind, and of course, flash flooding and flooding.
And we might elaborate a little bit on that flash flooding and flooding that is already happening and has been for a couple of days and is undoubtedly going to get worse in the days ahead. In the Iola area, there was already some evacuations prior to today. Some of those evacuations started yesterday and they were continuing today, and they were projecting at one point that the Neosho River was going to crest in that area well above flood stage mid-morning tomorrow, but that has no doubt been pushed higher and later. That is, it's going to continue to rise for longer than it appeared at one point, and it's going to rise to higher levels. And of course, all that water is going to flow south generally, and that will include to Miami, Oklahoma, where they've already been dealing with some flooding, and they are expecting the water to continue to rise. They were again saying into maybe tomorrow afternoon, but I'm going to guess that now that projection is going to be that it's going to continue to rise.
That's a safe bet too.
After that. Yeah. They've set up storm shelters in a couple of communities to deal with that, shelters for people who not necessarily have to escape the storm, but they need a dry place to go because their homes might be flooding. People need to stay away from from the flooded areas. They need to not drive into standing water. We've had water rescues, numerous water rescues already this week. People driving around barricades and in some cases just being more confident or just not being maybe cognizant of the dangers and just driving when they shouldn't.
And if I remember, that was done by my partner in crime from the weekend, Lisa Oligus, the other day. She said, and I think she said it in those packages, and I'm paraphrasing here, those barricades are there for a reason.
Absolutely.
And I know that in the time that we've been checking with Doug and talking with Jasper County Emergency Manager Keith Stammer, I know we've had additional information coming in here. I didn't know if you had any information fresh to pass along.
No, however, we've gotten lots of video and lots of photographs that have been sent to us by viewers through social media, and if maybe we could revisit some of that. I know some people have been joining us periodically through the evening. This is some of the damage out of Carl Junction, Briarbrook, and this is the area. Briarbrook is the area where we have gotten reports that there may be the most damage. No reports of injuries to our knowledge, but structural damage, and some of that is obvious there. Maybe no structural damage any worse than this, although obviously this is bad enough.
And of course, like, I didn't mean that to go ahead.
Well, and trees are down. This is, again, Briarbrook. Trees are going to be down in a lot of areas, partly because the ground is so saturated. As you said, even a relatively mild wind would knock over trees, and something like this, which is apparently the tornado.
I know, yeah, like you said earlier, even if the tornado was far away from any trees with such saturated roots, even if you had just winds coming out from the storm, again, with the way those roots are just soaked, again, it doesn't take much wind to knock them down.
That video showed a power outage as it occurred, basically, and in the Carl Junction, Briarbrook area, Keith Stammer told us that there were some scattered power outages, but not widespread. And this is perhaps the most impressive, frightening video that we've received tonight. This is from a cell phone, and this is looking. Well, this is the Carl Junction area.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, in real time, we cannot rate how strong that tornado is based on appearances alone, and I'm not quite familiar with how survey crews from the National Weather Service survey the damage and rate how strong a tornado was, but I will imagine in the days to come, with like roof damage alone, and based on how wide that is, I bet, again, it was a pretty violent tornado. And you also touched on the power outages too, Dowe. I was taking a look at Liberty Utilities Empire District that covers a good portion of the area. Last check, I had over 3,500 customers. It's not necessarily like the number of people per se, but number of, it could be homes, businesses, and like, you know what I mean there. Across a good portion of Jasper County and working over into areas like Golden City, Cedar County, Dade County. So at the very least, Liberty Utilities, oh there, thank you very much, control room. Those are the power outages that we have so far, and that's just from Liberty Utilities or Empire District. Again, at least 3,500 customers alone, and easy to see. It's primarily central, northern Jasper County, and working over to areas south of Stockton Lake.
This might be a good time to point out that we have links to information, more specific information that might be more pertinent to your community. If you just go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, and you'll find links there to all sorts of information, not only how you can find out about the power outages for your particular company or your community, but also shelters that are near you, closings, including road closings, and the highway patrols, and the ODOT, that is the, and KDOT.
And there's they're posted right there at KOAMnewsnow.com. Plenty of links to check in on road closings, power outages.
There's the city of Jasper, Missouri. They posted on Facebook that they were requested to go to Golden City. Nick, I want to pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
The day was eerie for me, and I know for a lot of other tornado survivors. It was a beautiful day, and I remember May 22nd, 2011 was a beautiful day. Not an expert, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the sunshine, all that good stuff earlier in the day.
It was just priming.
It was priming, yeah. It was priming things up.
I know, Ed. Again, I mean, I wasn't down here when the Joplin tornado hit. I came about like 5-6 months after, but I was already sensitive enough that this day in particular is still pretty raw on people. So at least on my Facebook, I imagine Doug was too, we're just cautious and just saying that it's okay if you're a little bit scared of these storms, but we've just been emphasizing as long as you keep paying attention, have a safe plan, safe place ready to go, have multiple ways of getting the warnings, we'll get through this.
Yeah, May 22nd had an odd, I mean, it was an odd day.
Yeah.
It was warm.
It was beautiful.
It was almost 90.
Yeah.
It was windy, and you could just feel it. Today you could feel it. You know, it was muggy. It was a little hazy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite at May 20. Well, I guess today is May 22nd.
Yeah.
But 2011, May 22nd standards. But yeah, when I was looking at stuff this morning and looking at what could happen, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. On May 22nd.
It's like, it has to be on today of all days, and it's...
But, you know, one of the things I remember after that disaster, Doug Hetty emphasized to me, because I had some problems, like a lot of people, don't get scared, have a plan. Have a plan.
Yeah, and you're not alone. I mean,
exactly.
People reach out to us.
We'll mention that Jordan was injured in that tornado 8 years ago today.
Yeah, and if I remember, did you have Steve Slivka help you out of your apartment?
Former sports director.
Yeah.
And also, although the conditions changed suddenly, I want to point out that you weren't caught by surprise exactly. You were telling us days in advance of that May 22nd, 2011 tornado, and days in advance, both of you, before this tornado, that the conditions were setting up in such a way that this was certainly possible. Now, exactly when and where a tornado is going to touch down is still beyond the reach of science at this point. But
yeah, like on the month-long forecast I did for May, on the last 2 weeks of May, I had, I think, 4 days highlighted as a moderate chance for severe weather. One was Monday, one's today. We have 2 more. And they're next week. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but so we can tell when these events are coming. We can tell when they're probably going to be severe. We just don't have the technology to say, hey, you know, tomorrow at 9:42 p.m. you're going to have a tornado at such and such spot.
Right. And like I was saying earlier, hopefully on down the line with more research done by meteorologists, not just across the country but around the world, hopefully we continue to get closer to that point.
Okay, we're getting some information from our producers. Not good news.
Going back over here.
Okay. And in the meantime, I'll just reconfirm again, or just go over again. Keeping an eye on the power outages, at least I'm checking in with Liberty Utilities Empire District, and a link to that on our site as well. Last check, over 3,500 customers are without power, and I know I'm not a PR for these electric companies, but I would imagine with these outages, you're probably going to have to be patient. The crews are, I'm sure, will be working very hard. They're going to try and time like when they can go out and try to get power restored, but I would imagine they want everyone to just exercise patience, and eventually they will get power restored. Okay,
bad news. We're just hearing from our producer, Jake Tackberry, that there are some fatalities. Jake, these are confirmed fatalities, is that correct? In the Gold? Okay.
We know
the Lamar Police Chief, Rusty Rhymes, is confirming some fatalities in the Golden City area. 3 to 4 fatalities. 3 fatalities, 3 to 4 miles west of Golden City. It's not news anybody wants to have to report.
No.
They're going to let you know as we get more on that. But again, that's confirmed by the Lamar Police Chief, Rusty Rhymes, that there have been 3 fatalities in the Golden City area, which is Vernon County in southwest Missouri, 3 to 4 miles outside of town.
Let's see.
We, to this point, had not received even reports of injuries.
No.
And we were just holding our breaths, hoping that we could get through the night, not having to give any news as bad as this. We'll see what happens next. We hadn't really been able to get a lot of information out of Vernon County. I can tell you this, I did call the Sheriff's Department there earlier, and when I talked to a dispatcher there, the dispatcher, a woman, told me that they had their own staff in a storm shelter at this point. The Vernon County Sheriff's Department has its headquarters in Nevada. And they were taking shelter. They were concerned, as they should have been, and as you and Doug were telling us, that there was a very real threat. So because this was a possibility.
I mean, at last check, I didn't think we had too many confirmed reports of a tornado as the storm crossed Vernon County, but if that rotation didn't cross over Nevada, the entire storm itself was working over the county seat there.
We've been talking about Briarbrook, things not to do in Briarbrook. Golden City just assume the same goes for Golden City. You know, don't go in that area. You never know if there are injuries. So just don't go in that area, and certainly our hearts go out to the families.
I know people have questions, and we're going to get those answers to you as soon as we can. We're trying to do that, but again, 3 fatalities confirmed by the Lamar Police Chief Rusty Grimes in the Golden City area. Jake, can you tell us anything more about that? Precisely where that might have been? No?
No more information.
Okay. Nothing more on that at this point, but we'll let you know as we get more. In Jasper County, no reports of injuries at this point, but damage in the Briarbrook area. We thought in the Oronogo area at one point, but according to Keith Stammer, the Emergency Management Director, the damage in Oronogo, fortunately, is less severe than it appeared that it could have been.
And that, again, that was a darn good thing considering how impressive that debris signature was as it was crossing across central Jasper County.
Okay. We had heard at one point that a tornado was passing over the school in Oronogo, which technically if it wasn't.
Doug was emphasizing that. Yeah, over, if not close to Harry, I think it was Harry Truman Elementary. Is that the
Truman, yes.
Yeah, it went right above the school, but I guess there's some minor damage.
Was there on the ground, like earlier you were saying it wasn't sure?
Yeah, we had a tornado emergency on it, and it was on the ground just west of Oronogo.
Yeah.
You know, just north of the airport. And then, so they put the tornado emergency, and then it decided to lift, which is great. Yeah. But we definitely had a funnel. I've seen many pictures in Oronogo.
Well, in fact, we have some video of from Airport Drive, I believe.
You can tell it was on the ground.
Some of that up.
Yeah.
That's what we saw in the Oronogo area. I guess that would be, is it the airport?
Yeah, that would be kind of north of Airport Drive as it near Aubey and 43 as it's working into Oronogo. This is probably 3 or 4 miles west of Oronogo at this time, and it does, so this is right when they put the tornado emergency out, which validated because it's a large tornado, and then it kind of lifted, and it was mainly funnel clouds as it went through Oronogo, but again, the same storm, same tornado reproduced in Golden City.
And as you look at that, look at the size of that, you can get some sense of the scale just by looking at the foreground, and obviously it's massive, and you would think destructive. But maybe not so much, at least in Oronogo. I mean, it looks like they might have dodged the bullet from what we're able to determine from.
Yeah, and at least from that distance, I didn't mean to interrupt you, gentlemen, but based on how wide that looks, that's not the whole tornado we're seeing here, but from that distance, it's just
range.
True testament.
And the lowering as well.
It's just true testament to how impressive, for lack of a better word, the structure of this storm was. So that, I believe that was definitely the lowering of the wall cloud, and if you go far enough north, closer to 96, you probably would have seen that tornado.
And, you know, we have some other video of the tornado or tornadoes from around the area and control room. If you want to just play some of those. Okay, this is Carl Junction. Again, and it appears to me, Nick, and I might be wrong, that maybe it's formed and then breaks up a little bit and then reforms.
Yeah, I mean, with tornadoes in general, there are times where it continuously stays on the ground. Other times, the tornado just kind of changes in shape and structure, or kind of appears as though, I mean, what we call it's like a condensation funnel of sorts, where you see the tornado making contact with the ground. That's why you're seeing that. But whenever you see it try to change its shape, hopefully I'm making sense here. But at times, when it looks like it's just weakening, it's just constantly like re-evolving itself or trying to recycle, just reorganize itself. So even though you might have seen this tornado change in shape and structure, this was either skipping it numerous times or fairly on the ground.
This is new.
Yeah, this was from
the Four Corners area. This is looking toward Harbs.
That very intersection, that is Harbs. That is 171 and Fountain Road, just as 171 starts to curve northwest towards CJ over Center Creek. And even from there, you could very easily at least see the lowering as it works across central Jasper County.
I want to make a correction. I stated earlier, I believe, that the 3 deaths in the Golden City area would have been Vernon County. In fact, that's Barton County.
Yeah, southeastern Barton.
Southeastern Barton County, right. 3 deaths that were confirmed there in the Golden City area.
And this video now again that we're seeing, this is from Carl Junction again, and if you weren't just joining us and didn't catch us earlier, I was asking Jordan, it looks very familiar. These look like the neighborhoods north of CJ High School, north of, I keep forgetting, is it Pinnell? I don't think it's that street.
That's
Pinnell.
one of the main streets through.
Let's go ahead and do it. We'll do a quick storm update.
Let's go ahead to Doug, please.
I'm still set up at the wall just so we know what is coming and what is going on. Thankfully, right now we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings in the immediate area, which is great news, but we still have the showers and thunderstorms rolling through. They're kind of lining up now instead of individual supercells are going into a line. And in northeastern Oklahoma, where we have had these tornado warnings, the mid-level cap, which is kind of keeps storms from continuing to blow, is increasing. So these are going to go more toward hail makers and rain makers, and our tornado threat will continue to trickle down as we work through the next several hours. But we have still many hours of showers, thunderstorms, mainly hail and wind. You can see them continuing to pop up. These are going to last all night. These are going to go into the morning hours, so it's going to be a very loud, active night. But the good news here, I guess the two big things of good news is, one, we don't have any warnings right now. We do need to watch this cluster as it works into Delaware County, still a good 30 minutes out. And two, our tornado threat is going down, but we're still going to have a severe threat as we work through the overnight hours. So that's the latest on what is going on.